If you're hunting crocodiles, you found out about the poachers. Don't search in anger just yet, because it's such a waste of time. You should go on your own hunt. And then when I saw the poachers, pick up the gun and run at each other like hell. This will not only blow off steam, but also make the other side afraid to come back. With the dawn of a new day, the hunters have also begun their sprint to the top. Willie, meanwhile, was hunting alone, because little Willie got a job in order to ensure that their ranking does not change. So you have to hunt alone. But he hasn't been alone in 4 years. It makes him a little nervous. But after seeing the alligator trail, Willie immediately stepped forward and threw the hook and pulled the crocodile towards the boat. With the appearance of this giant alligator, Willie also showed his own unique skills. Got the crocodile on the edge of the boat. It never leaves the range, even when the crocodile wasn't looking. One shot ended its life. Look at this dead crocodile. Willie was very pleased with what he had just done, but it's still a little hard to pull a crocodile this big. So he took out his own block. After tying up the crocodile in the water, he slowly hoisted it into the air, then pulled it onto the boat. Although this all seems very simple, but it's hard to do with one person. And Ronnie and Timmy on the other side. The two also set out to hunt, because the two are now too far behind in the rankings. They decide to go to a treasure site. It's not just the abundance of crocodiles, and there's a lot of tall grass. It's a good place for crocodiles to rest, and it's an environment they really like. As the two arrive at their destination, they couldn't locate the trap for a while, but Timmy remembered it was here. But crocodiles aren't just invisible these days. I don't even see the pole from here. This made them wonder what was going on here. But for now, the search for other crocodiles continues. Soon they reach the second trap. But the good news here is that the trap is intact. But when Timmy hooks the rope, turns out the rope here is broken. And after careful observation, turns out it wasn't an alligator breaking loose. It was cut to look like this. It also means there are poachers in the area, but they couldn't find them. So he decided to cut the pole of the trap first. Make it so low it's in the grass, so poachers won't find it so easily. And 90 miles to the west, Troy and Kimchi are on their way to a whole new location to fill labels and impact rankings. Because it's where Kimchi wants to be. It made Troy a little uncomfortable, because he had already made preparations for today's hunting site. But to make Kimchi happy, decided to head for the waters. As the two men arrived at their destination, Kimchi immediately stepped forward and began to pull the rope. With the death of this crocodile, they finally got a good look at its size. I didn't know it was nearly 12 feet, and this is the perfect place to start. But Troy was even more surprised. This is the first trap in the area. He couldn't even think about what those were like. At the same time, Jacob and Don, they're heading for a notorious place, and that location is called Blackwater. Even though the name sounds a little scary. But what difference does it make? It's just that the water there is deeper than elsewhere. When the two had just arrived at the destination of their trip, I saw a giant crocodile on the shore. Two people quickly set sail close, and Jacob took it to shore, prepared to deliver a fatal blow to this crocodile. But it suddenly moved while it was still aiming. That scared Jacob so much he fired a shot. But the good news is that success hits home. Otherwise, there is a high risk of being bitten by a crocodile. But since this giant crocodile was discovered by surprise, there wasn't any rope on him. They had to tie one to his body, pulling this giant crocodile into the boat. And on the other side, Pork Chops and Laurent. The two planned to lure the giant crocodile out. And the way to do that is with those stinking lures. But this thing really stinks. Smoke all the pork chops on one side, starting to nest the fish in the river. As the two reached the first trap, Pork Chop immediately switched the bait and took out some white cloth after cutting it and tied it to the tree in the trap. Although I don't know why they did it, but the two were happy with the approach. At the same time, Ronnie and Timmy, the two hid the machete behind the grass. They found themselves searching. It has also become very difficult, not to mention the poachers. But now they've gone around a couple of times. No sign of the trap. This made them both a little anxious. But fortunately, the two found a general location and finally let them find it again. Timmy immediately pulled up the rope in the water and gave it to Ronnie on the side. Tell him to pull the crocodile from the water to the surface. With the death of this 9-foot crocodile, the two also got their first of the day, even though they're only now harvesting crocodiles. But apparently the two of them had plans. Still managed to dissuade the poachers. And Willie on the other side. So far there's only one crocodile. It made Willie look bad, and he's been on the river for hours. It used up a lot of gas. If we don't catch another crocodile, I have to go back and get some fuel. Then Willie's eyes suddenly lit up. He immediately threw the triangle hook. Get ready to hook the alligator right in front of you. But the hook on the first shot missed, and lost track of it. So Willie went on looking for other crocodiles. But Troy and Kimchi on the other side, since they caught their first crocodile, there will be no more harvest. Even a few of the traps were empty. But it didn't last long. They see a huge crocodile again. Kimchi quickly picked up the triangle hook and throw it where the crocodile is, although the first shot didn't hook. But the good news is that the alligator trail is still there. Kimchi quickly threw another hook, but still no success. We even lost track of the crocodiles. Two people had to give up. Turnhead set a trap right here. Hopefully we can catch it. And Jacob and Don on the other side. We've managed to catch 4 giant crocodiles. This makes the two very excited now. Even Jacob drove the boat very fast. I don't even dare to slow down, just to get to this trap in front of me. Don then immediately stepped forward to pull the crocodile. Then Jacob suddenly started backing up, but the rope was hooked around Don's leg. Just pulled Don into the water. This scared Don, and he climbed back to the boat. But he was fast enough, or there's a real risk of being bitten by a crocodile. With the death of this crocodile, the two men once again harvested a giant alligator, and the two pulled the current average even higher, and not far away in Willie, since there are no sailors now, forced to start inspecting the traps that had just been laid. Otherwise, relying on the triangle hook will not only drop the ranking, and it will not finish the remaining labels now. But the good news is Willie still has his skills. We're looking at a trap with a crocodile in it, with Willie pulling it to the surface. I just shot him. I can't believe this is over so fast. But in order to pull it up, it turns out this crocodile is surprisingly small. It's probably not even 6 feet. This can directly bring down their grade point averages by a significant amount. But there was no other way. And on the other side, Laurent and Pork Chops. 2 people in a row have multiple traps that are empty. This made Laurent very anxious. But the good news is this trap back here is loaded. Quickly boats close to let Pork Chop pull the rope. And as the rope slowly pulls out, crocodiles are beginning to appear. Although the death roll began as soon as it appeared. But with Pork Chop's fighting skills, I managed to keep it on the side of the boat and let him roll only here. Laurent was also at the gator's relaxation moment. The bullets from the gun were fired. The pair then immediately began pulling him towards the boat. And this is a 9-foot alligator. It also proves that their idea is successful. That pile of rancid chicken legs. We can still attract crocodiles. At the same time, Ronnie and Timmy. There are 4 giant crocodiles on the boat. And that's thanks to cutting the pole in half, or they'll be taken by poachers. But now all they have left is 4 traps to check. Soon the 2 men were in front of the trap. With the boat slowly stopped, Ronnie stepped forward and pulled up the rope and get the crocodiles out of the water. Although this one's smaller than the ones we caught, but it's also an 8-foot alligator. And Jacob and Don on the other side. Now the boat is full of crocodiles. But the day is only half over. This makes the two feel that their luck has finally changed. And as Don pulls the alligator out of sight, the action of 2 people is very high. Even Don started talking dirty, and he called the alligator a pisser. Always can't do anything about the 2 people in the boat. It just keeps hitting the hull in the water. And this foolishness. And it gave Jacob an opportunity. I gave it to him, and he took his life. Although this crocodile is not very big, but still a good crocodile. It even infected Don with silliness. Let him hurt himself, though his hands were covered with blood. But the wound wasn't very deep. Don quickly took out the alcohol and washed wildly in his hands. But Don's next move is a mystery. I dropped glue on the wound, and not far away are Troy and Kimchi. We also managed to capture 7 giant crocodiles. I mean, they're all over 9 feet, but they still need a real crocodile to take the top spot. Then something special happened. There's a crocodile with its head cut off on the shore. This moment let them know there's a very large crocodile here, because only giant crocodiles bite their own kind. As the 2 men arrived at the trap, Pickles lift crocodiles in the water. After killing this crocodile, the 2 men found that this one is not small, but not the crocodile they wanted. Just keep looking for other giants. And on the other side, Laurent and Pork Chops. Their plan is still working steadily. As the 2 approach the trap in front of them, the Pork Chop pulls the rope out of the water and pull the crocodile to the surface. Watch him roll over there, just waiting for Laren to kill him. Then all of a sudden there were gunshots. The crocodile in the water also lay peacefully there. Look at this giant alligator right in front of you. The 2 knew the plan was perfect. At the same time, Willie. After losing little Willie, the whole process of catching a crocodile is difficult. But there's no other way now. Can only continue the hunt. Soon Willie was at a trap again. Look at that vibrant crocodile. Willie knew it was going to be a tough fight. Look at the alligator right in front of you. Willie knows it's not going to help right now, okay. After all, we are so far behind others. But fortunately, the gap is not very wide. There's still a chance to catch up. And Jacob and Don on the other side. We've filled the boat with crocodiles. But they still have 1 label left to fill out. But now we've checked all the traps. The 2 can only search for crocodiles on the river. But the good news is that heaven has a good eye on them. It wasn't long before Don spotted the alligator trail. Jacob ran after him. I picked up the triangle hook myself and just throw it out as soon as it gets close. Although the first shot missed, even on the second throw, threw the whole hook out. But the mood of the two men is still very optimistic. There was no huff and puff, but we still have to make an alternative to the triangle hook. And 83 miles away, Ronnie and Timmy also caught 7 crocodiles. But now they have a trap to catch. As they continue to move forward, soon we're in front of the trap. Timmy came forward and hooked the rope, gave it to Ronnie on the side. But then suddenly they heard something. But when I looked over, I saw a speedboat. Ronnie dropped the rope immediately, take the boat, and chased the speedboat, because he thought they were poachers. After all, he knew everyone in the neighborhood. With the two men in constant pursuit, still no luck catching up with the ship, can only watch each other go away. And on the other side, Laurent and Pork Chops also came to a trap, no matter that there's no crocodile up there. Pork Chop quickly replaced the bait, but they didn't let that discourage them. Instead, they're constantly looking for traps. Good thing this trap is loaded with stuff. There's no telling what's going to happen to them. Pull the crocodile out with the Pork Chop. Laurent on one side has also become very powerful. After seeing the opportunity that Pork Chops offered, he pulled the trigger without hesitation. After killing this huge crocodile, the two men quickly pulled it to the boat, afraid that one will be lost without attention. And this crocodile is about 13 feet long. Just let them be. A serious contender for those 350 labels. The two immediately decided to go to Duffy's house, showing off this giant crocodile in front of everyone. And up north, Troy and Kimchi, still looking for real giant crocodiles. Put yourself in first place. As the two men arrived at the trap, Kimchi immediately started pulling on the rope, but it looked so hard. Troy immediately stepped forward to take it, and the crocodile was there the moment he took it. Troy was holding him to the side of the boat. The pair also noticed that the crocodile was quite large. Could have helped both of them win first place, and the thought of it immediately made Troy very energetic. This also allowed Kimchi to see an opportunity on the side. I just gave him a peanut. That's when the pair spotted the crocodile. Before they get here, killed one of the other crocodiles. And this crocodile is nearly 13 feet long. More than enough for both to take first place in the competition. And Ronnie and Timmy on the other side. The two men began to look at the trap again. Soon we're back where we were, and pulled the rope back to Ronnie. Although the crocodile was successfully killed. But this one is too small. He's barely 8 feet tall. This made both of them very uncomfortable. I can't believe the last crocodile looked like this. And at the buyer Duffy's house, Troy and Kimchi are unloading. And that's when Pork Chop and Laurent came along. But look at their crocodile. The two knew they couldn't show off. With today's hunt over, and Troy is back in first place. Pork Chop and Laurent also finished second. Well, that's all for this program. Give it a thumbs up, and let's look forward to the next episode. Look at this old man who likes to catch alligators. After several traps were found to be empty, quickly found his good friend. Let him fly his own helicopter. Come up above and see where the crocodiles are. And that's a pretty good idea. They succeeded in finding a lot of giant crocodiles. As alligator season gets underway in Louisiana, the hunters also hunted for some time. Their average crocodile size ranking today, all around 9 feet. Keep sprinting for the ranking. Daniel and Dorian headed for the most reliable place. And the water here is very deep. It's apparently a favorite spot for the big crocodiles. But they've been here a long time, and you don't see any crocodiles. This makes the two very worried. Even a fallen trap is barely visible. Dorian stepped forward and pulled the rope. Turns out the bait was still there. But then Dorian made a different discovery. Then there's a mark in front of my eyes, and it was made by a giant crocodile. The two followed for some distance. It turned out to be a small pond, but there are too many obstacles here. Their hovercraft won't even get in. The two had no choice but to return. And Ronnie and Timmy on the other side, and the return of Ashley and Anna. There's too much left of Ronnie's tag. I had to bring in 2 pretty girls to help, but to spice up a boring job, the two sides decided to have a match. That's who has the highest gator draw value today. The loser buys the winner a drink. So Ronnie's boat was ready early. Only his pilot hasn't boarded yet. With the departure of both sides, their match is about to begin. Ronnie is full of confidence for this game. As the two reach the first trap, Timmy pulled up the rope and handed it to Ronnie. Immediately pulls the crocodile from the water to the surface and began to compete with it. Although the crocodile's resistance was fierce, I almost jumped on a boat, but under Ronnie's control, Timmy managed to find an opportunity and sent him straight to heaven. Let it enjoy life there. After pulling this giant alligator onto the boat, they feel like they're going to win today. And not just because of this giant alligator. It's because of their secret weapon. Those chicken legs that are starting to rot and stink. But the smell is actually a little heady. Bruce, meanwhile, got a secret tip that these waters haven't been visited in years. but when he saw the first trap, only to find that the bait was still there. But it's been a long time since anyone hunted here. This situation struck Bruce as strange, but it didn't last. The second trap has a crocodile on it. Bruce immediately stepped in and pulled the alligator up. And keep it on the side of the boat. Follow Bruce and pick up the gun. The crocodile should have known it was dying. With a sudden shot, the crocodile is pulled out of the water by Bruce. But the strange thing is that this one is very small. It will affect his grades. But the crocodile was already on board, and there was no way. We'll have to look for other giants first. But when Bruce advances, he found himself in front of a dead fish. Look at the shoals of fish here. Does Bruce know why there are no gators in the trap? After all they have to do here is open their mouths. You can eat completely, and Anna and Ashley up north. In order to win this game, and bragging rights in front of Ronnie, two people have to work very hard. As Ashley pulls the boat to a stop, a very large crocodile appeared, but it was lying flat on the ground. This made the two people feel uncomfortable for a while, but they don't want to give up on this giant crocodile. Although this crocodile is very dangerous. But the good news is that the final result is good. Just pulling this 9-foot alligator into the boat. There are still some difficulties. Although this giant crocodile is not small, but they still need a bigger crocodile in order to win this game. And Ronnie and Timmy on the other side. After 5 or 6 decoys, the two returned to the first trap. Take a look at the results after changing the bait. When Timmy pulled up the rope and handed it to Ronnie, the crocodile was also pulled to the surface. But only half of the crocodile was left. This is making Ronnie look stupid. I had no idea there was a giant alligator in here. After all, crocodiles are at the top of the food chain. And those big crocodiles. And very fond of eating small crocodiles. The two knew they had to catch the giant crocodile. Or the next trap. There's going to be a lot of mutilated crocodiles. This very affect the two people's knife music earn. In this season's game. And now Bruce is in a different place. I don't want to catch alligators in front of those dead fish. But too much time was wasted there. Now Bruce is a little hungry. So he stopped the boat under a small piece of mushroom. Cut it off the branch. After a simple cleaning, it's covered in starch and fried. It is ready to be fried until golden brown. And something as fresh as this. Rarely seen in swamps. And Daniel and Dorian on the other side. After finding crocodiles all over the top, Daniel enlisted the help of an old friend, Cody. And this guy came in his own helicopter. As the two sides meet on the road, Daniel also told him about his difficulties and hope he can put it on the water through the vibration of the screw. Flush out those hidden crocodiles. Cody was very confident after listening. These things are small problems. With the helicopter in the air again, both sides began to advance towards their destination. Soon they were near the pond. Cody's going to turn the plane around right away and hovering over the pond, start driving the crocs away with the vibration of the propeller. And the crocodiles soon appeared on the surface. There was even a giant alligator that got out. After Daniel and Dorian saw it, get the boat close to the crocodile right away. Dorian throws the hook right away. With the hook's successful hit, Dorian immediately pulls him back to the surface. Although the appearance of the crocodile has stirred up a lot of water. But that's a bluff. Daniel just stepped up and shot it. Put an end to this crocodile's life. As the two men pull the giant alligator aboard, Daniel now has a genius idea for himself. Expressed his high appreciation. Not Black Rambo in the swamp. Suddenly received a friend Blake's help. He bought something he wanted Black Rambo to see. Soon he drove to the dock. And I met Blake here. The two of them after saying hello. Black took out what he had bought. It's an old revolver and a knife. Black Rambo after watching. It means it's a Smith & Wesson. And they were the first guns ever made. But Blake was curious if he was worth anything now. Black Rambo is not so clear about that either. But said it must be worth a lot. To learn about these things early. Black Rambo will be on the move immediately. And it was Mike he was looking for. At the same time Bruce. Once all the traps have been transferred, start looking at these. A crocodile trap was soon discovered. As Bruce gets closer, did the crocodile feel something? But Bruce pulled him over the rope to the boat. Look at this big crocodile. Bruce pulls out the pulley again. After hoisting the crocodile into the air, I just pulled him right into the boat. And Ronnie and Timmy on the other side. After the temptation of smelly bait, the two men harvested a number of giant crocodiles. As the two men reach a trap, Timmy immediately stepped forward and hooked the rope out. After Ronnie's tugging, the crocodile soon surfaced and kept it on the edge of the boat, even when the crocodiles are rolling over and over. But to no avail. Timmy even got a chance. A straight shot took a life. And this is an 11-foot alligator. Let the two more confident to win this game. And Daniel and Dorian on the other side. 5 large crocodiles have been caught. And this is a great testament to the success of the program. Then they see a giant alligator in front of them. Dorian is closing in. He throws the triangle hook right out of his hand and successfully hooked it in. After pulling this crocodile into the boat, the pair discovered that the creature was 12 feet long, and it makes them very happy to be able to get Cody's help. At the same time, Ashley and Anna came across a trap. As soon as she gets closer, Anna hooks the rope and pulls the crocodile from the water to the surface. But this crocodile put up too much of a fight, not just hiding under the boat, and when Anna wasn't looking, almost pulled it under the water. But the good news is that Anna is highly skilled, not only pulling the crocodile out, but pulling it up. It gave Ashley a chance on the side. I just gave him a peanut. After a little celebration, he pulled the crocodile into the boat. Look at this really big crocodile. They knew that alone wasn't enough to beat Ronnie. Bigger crocodiles must be found. And Black Rambo on the other side, heading to my friend Mike's house. Check out the revolver and the machete. With a long journey, Black Rambo also arrived at Mike's house. Pass the revolver in your hand. Mike took a closer look and realized it was from around 1903. But the gun isn't worth anything, is it? That's when Mike found Black Rambo's knife. After taking a closer look, found it's not a machete, it's a bayonet. And most likely during the Civil War, a bayonet mounted on a gun. And this knife was made specifically at the time. It looks old now though, but it's only worth a few $1,000. Though Black Rambo was surprised at the knife's value. But Blake gave it to him. And Daniel and Dorian on the other side, with the help of Cody. We caught a lot of crocodiles. But now Cody's running out of fuel. Can only return to the port in advance to wait. It also means that these two people now have no help. But luckily, they got to the trap they laid. They're pretty sure there's a big crocodile down here, because Cody's been hovering around here, as Dorian pulls the crocodile out of the water. And this is a very large crocodile. It also proves that the giant crocodiles are now out of the pond, even without Cody's help now. But his presence is not that important. And Bruce on the other side, since moving the crocodile traps, we've had good results. But how about worrying about the pitfalls right now? The rope can be pulled up after getting close. Bruce is hanging heart settled. And look at that big crocodile. Sounds like a pretty strong one. Still no match for swamp veteran Bruce. Just lift it up high. And then it was a bullet to the head. Look at this big crocodile. Bruce was very happy. Not only does it guarantee the current level, it may even get higher. At the same time, Ronnie and Timmy. Although we've caught a lot of giant crocodiles. But Ronnie was still worried. I'm afraid I'm not as good as Ashley in the end. So I prayed and prayed. Pray for a giant crocodile in this trap. As Timmy pulls the cargo out of the water. Look at this really big crocodile. They both gained instant confidence. I didn't expect this last trap. I can't believe there's such a big thing. And Black Rambo on the other side, heading back to port looking for Blake. Although in the morning, Blake promised to give himself the machete. But it's a very valuable knife. Black Rambo decided to give it back to Black anyway. After arriving at the dock and seeing Blake, Black Rambo sold a trick first. Look at Blake looking so curious. Or the value of the revolver and the machete. And tell me where the knife came from. Blake, after listening to this, many thanks to Black Rambo for his honesty and atmosphere. I'm about to take him away for a good drink. At this time, Bruce has caught a number of giant crocodiles. Still trying to catch a big crocodile. Following Bruce to a trap. Immediately pull the crocodile out of the water. I saw this huge fish. Bruce's skills improved as fast as he could. Lifted the crocodile directly to the surface. You put a bullet in his head. Put this alligator head out of the way. Turns out this one is 12 feet in size. He quickly pulled it to the boat, for fear that someone might sneak this crocodile away. And now Daniel and Dorian. Look at this boat full of crocodiles. The two were very happy. I even think I can get first place now. But he still came to a trap. Dorian immediately began to pull on the rope. Look at this really big crocodile. The two men held their breath and pulled him directly into the boat. Can be completely pulled out. The crocodile's tail was surprisingly short. It cost him a lot of length, but it's got a size of 10 feet. As the two men returned to the dock, Cody immediately stepped forward to observe their harvest. Look at the crocodiles in front of you. Cody was very proud. Daniel on the other side also said, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you. If you want Cody to come over tonight. And Ronnie and Ashley on the other side. The game came to a head, with Ashley and Anna measuring out. The largest crocodile that found itself was this 10.2 feet. Ronnie was surprised by the result. But when Ronnie and Timmy measured it out, this one is 11.8 feet tall. Ronnie and Place clearly won. With today's hunt over, the results of the hunters are in. Well, that's all for this program. Give it a thumbs up, and let's look forward to the next episode. You know, giant alligators like this one right here. Is that how the arrest was made? It was all very easy. All you have to do is set 100 traps the day before. And then after seeing the crocodile, take the bait. Move quickly to pull it up and fire. You can catch a giant alligator with ease. As the sun rises again in the sky, Ashley and Anna, who got up early to grab the top spot in the rankings, went to the most horrible place. That's the cemetery deep in Lake Verret. Although it's full of big crocodiles, but it also left the area littered with bodies. As a result, it's often haunted. This frightens Ashley and Anna. But in order to sprint to the top position, they're still going to the cemetery, with Ashley and Anna crossing the barrier. The two officially entered the waters of the cemetery. And on the other side, Zach and Joey, getting ready for today's hunt. But then Zach was suddenly found by a local fisherman. That was the fisherman's son, Ducey. Didn't come home all night. This made him very worried. What's even scarier is that Ducey ran into the swamp, in a place full of crocodiles. So he turned to the two of them. I hope they can help find Ducey. He's a small dog, but he's family. In a swamp like this, looking for a needle in a haystack. But they made it to the place where Ducey was last seen. Soon they found footprints on the shore, although there was no sign of Ducey. But they saw crocodiles. They immediately turned the boat around. Zach threw out his line right away. Start trying to hook the alligator. But the hook failed to catch. Instead, it hung on the dead grass on the side. They had to step in and untie it. But it also kept the crocodile out of sight. So the two kept looking for Ducey. At the same time, Pork Chops and Laren. The two men noticed that today's crocodiles didn't seem to be in the water. What are they doing on land instead? This made the two people very upset. You can only park the boat to one side and go to shore. But just back on land, the two found a crocodile trail. So he quickly followed them. But after walking for a while, I saw a poisonous spider. The two can only clean up and search. But how can I find them? So I decided to set a trap here first. After being arranged in successive different positions, the two men returned to the ship. And on the other side in Troy, there was a sudden family emergency due to kimchi. So today I decided to run 100 traps by myself. And that's just in time to see if he's the king of the swamp. Then Troy saw a big fish and a very active crocodile. Troy quickly stepped forward and pulled him out of the water. With the death of this crocodile, Troy's first of the day, it made him very excited. And all because he hadn't hunted alone in a long time. But the first was a crocodile this big. Make him look forward to what lies ahead. And Zach and Joey at the same time. The two are still looking for Ducey. But they looked for it for a long time and did not see it. This makes them both very worried about Ducey. But now we just have to hope he's smart enough. They didn't get eaten by the big crocodiles. Then they suddenly saw a trap. And it's got this crocodile on it. Joey immediately stepped forward and pulled the rope. After pulling the crocodile out of the water, he showed off his skills right away. Managed to contain the crocodile to the side of the boat. Even though he desperately wants to get on board, Joey got it back. And that's when Zach saw his chance and sent the crocodile straight to heaven. Although this one is only about 8 feet in size. But it also means that this Ducey is safe. And on the other side, Laron and Pork Chops, looking at the traps we laid yesterday. Even though the ones up front are empty, but the two remain patient, looking for the hope that might exist. Sure enough, those who persist always gain. The two managed to see the crocodile. Pork Chop immediately came forward and hooked the rope out, and played a game with crocodiles in the water. Even though this giant crocodile just showed up, but he also showed off his great tumbling skills. It's a pain in the ass on one side. Almost got loose a couple of times. All I can do is push Laron on the side. Ante lived up to the promise of the Pork Chop. A single shot ended the alligator's life. Look at this alligator that's only 9 feet long. Pork Chop suddenly felt embarrassed. I didn't expect such a crocodile. I can't believe I made myself a rookie. Good thing Laron didn't say what. Just said he hoped to catch a bigger crocodile. At the same time, Ashley and Anna, they're talking about the supernatural events here. I don't know if two people are afraid of this place. I don't know how weird it is to talk about it here. It's still going deep in here. Just because it was safe to set a trap yesterday. The two walked along talking. Soon we reached the first trap. Although the crocodile is now dead. But I still remember what I just saw. If Anna hadn't brought a pistol, there's a good chance Ashley won't be able to kill the crocodile. They'll even find a chance to get on a boat. To do something bad to both of them. And Black Rambo on the other side. I'm on my way to see an old friend. And this friend is a bit delusional. Often think the person in front of you is a vampire. Soon the two met successfully. Look at this handsome man in front of you. He's a big vampire lover. He was looking for a 19th century vampire hunting backpack. Black Rambo, after understanding the situation, I started looking for it right away. I know this stuff is fake. But Black Rambo is also interested in such mysterious things. Really want to see what it looks like. And Joey and Zach on the other side. Still looking for that Ducey running around. But after all that time, both of them managed to grab a few crocodiles. There's no sign of Ducey. This made both men a little hopeless. It feels like Ducey might have been eaten. Then the two men saw the treasure. Joey quickly sailed closer and pulled the crocodile from the water to the surface. And this has also calmed down the big fish. Rechange very passionate, just rolling over and over, trying to free himself from his chains. But it's too bad Zach found his chance. I just gave him a bullet. With the death of this crocodile, Zach immediately pulled him into the boat. But the idea was to pull his head out first. But this crocodile is so light. I just pulled the whole thing out onto the boat. At the same time, Troy, although Kimchi is not here today, but Troy caught a lot of crocodiles on his own. But to complete the view of 100 traps, still a little difficult for the Swamp King. But to keep his throne, Troy still dared not let up. Soon they came to a trap again, after the rope is hooked out of the water. Look at this 9-foot alligator. Troy is feeling a little dull today. After all, there's already a dozen of them on board. Although the overall average is higher, but it's still boring for Troy. Can only hope for 75 traps in the back. Can have a very large crocodile. And on the other side, Laurent and pork chops. So far, for crocodiles have been caught. But that's all there is to a trap on the water. Now the two can only hope. A trap laid out in front of the land. But on their way there, lucky to see a trap. And there's a crocodile up there. Two people quickly approach the past. But this crocodile doesn't talk about martial arts. But the good thing is that the two men are good at survival. Got the crocodile back in the water. And he kept it on the side of the boat. And Laurent quickly found an opportunity on the side. He just took revenge right there and then. Only it's a revenge that costs lives. The two men pulled the crocodile head into the boat. One force pulls it completely into the boat. At the same time, Ashley and Anna. The pair have managed to catch 4 crocodiles. But they still don't want to continue. Want to get out of here now. But the two are also eager to catch bigger crocodiles. After going through their own mental game, the decision was made to continue. And just then the two also came to the trap. Look at the straight rope. They knew there was a big fish down here. So he quickly set sail forward. It took 2 people close enough to find out. This crocodile is on land. Let 2 people for a time very distressed. Although this 8-foot crocodile is not a big one, but the process of capture is very dangerous. Fortunately, the final result is beautiful, or your life could be in danger. And Black Rambo on the other side. It took almost a day. Reach out to people like you. But the end result was not good. People don't know about 19th century vampire kits. But Mike's an old friend. There was a phone call. Told Black Rambo he had it here. With the shortening of the distance, Black Rambo saw what he most wanted to see. And it has all the tools. It's not just guns for vampires. There's a special mold for bullets. There are even things to keep vampires in check. But it's far from over. It also contains holy water and crucifixion stakes. And wants so many things. Just a little $4,000. Although you might not normally need these. But when it comes to vampires, that's a reasonable price. And on the other side, Laurent and pork chops. The two men also went to the trap that had been laid on the land. With the two men back on land, quickly ran to the trap. When you pull the rope out, only to find that the big chicken leg on the trap was still there. Only to move on to the next trap. As the two gradually get closer, all of a sudden, there's an alligator. But the crocodile runs back into the water. I don't know what's wrong with this one, though, but that didn't make them give up on it. Instead, Laurent decided to put him out of his misery right away. With the crocodile silent, the two also hauled him onto the boat. But then I realized this one was only 8 feet long. So the two men hurried back into the jungle, hoping to find a giant crocodile. Soon they came to the new trap. But then I realized something was wrong. The rope is falling, but there's no crocodile in sight. So Pork Chop picked up the pole and kept testing. And Laurent is constantly on the lookout. That's when the crocodile was pulled out by the Pork Chop. And at the moment of its appearance, Laurent fired right away. Get this scary crocodile out of here. Although the process is very dangerous. But with the high level of understanding between the two, succeeded in solving everything perfectly. As the two men slowly pulled the crocodile into the boat. And were done with the gators that took the bait. And Black Rambo on the other side began to return in search of Gvidian. Soon Black Rambo found him again on the side of the road. As Gvidian opens the vampire kit, the whole person is in absolute shock. I had no idea there was such a thing as legend. Actually found by Black Rambo. And then just play with joy. I don't even care about her Rambo on the side. Looking at Gvidian so focused, Black Rambo decided to sneak away with the staff. But Gvidian found out anyway. And Anna and Ashley on the other side. Now there's one trap left to look at. But it's getting dark now. They quickly picked up speed. The rope is pulled up very quickly and pulled the crocodile from the water to the surface. After pulling this crocodile's head out, the two men find that the fish is bigger than they thought, only by pulling his head over the side of the boat. And Anna's scratching the alligator's body. Pull his whole body into the boat. I mean, I almost capsized the boat, but we were able to pull him into the boat. And this 12-foot alligator, it's what keeps them both here. Now, after the successful capture, The two quickly set off for the return. And, at the same time, Troy, the boat is already full of crocodiles. But there are still 20 traps left to check. And now the sun is going down. Troy has to increase his speed. Just like that, all the way down. Troy came to the trap. Go ahead and pull up the rope right away. But then the crocodile is pulled out by the movement and immediately began the death roll. At the same time, it kept hitting the hull, trying to break the thread in his mouth. But this is Troy trying to catch the gator, a rope that costs a lot of money. The alligator was doomed to never break free, can only be taken away by the next Troy. Because this crocodile is so big, Troy didn't even try to pull him aboard. It's directly tied to the alligator's body. And this 12-foot alligator, very good proof Troy, still as good at catching crocodiles as ever. But it also makes the boat very dangerous. It could sink at any moment. And Joey and Zach on the other side. The two men's harvest is very sparse. And the missing Ducey, it was not successfully found. This leads them to believe that Ducey is now dead. So he decided to focus on crocodile hunting. As the two keep moving forward, soon we're in front of a trap. Joey immediately stepped forward and pulled the rope. The crocodile was quickly pulled out of the water, although the crocodile was successfully killed. But this one is just too big. The two men struggled to pull his head into the boat, and he almost slipped back into the water. After we managed to pull it onto the boat, the two men discovered the system of this, probably the one who swallowed Ducey. But in the absence of direct evidence, the two men decided to make another tour, see if he can find Ducey. But I have to say that the two of them are very lucky. Then they succeeded in finding Ducey. The two men quickly began to dock. Get Ducey safely up from the bow. Looks like it's pretty much unscathed. Not even this dirty Ducey. Both were a little skeptical. I don't think he's been sleeping there until now. As the two men returned to port, Zach also returned Ducey to the fisherman. And now Troy has one trap left. But the ship is already very heavy. Heavy enough to fill it with water while driving. But now lies the final trap. But a crocodile took the bait. It made Troy both sad and happy. But when I saw the swaying branches, Troy was just happy. After all, it's hard to meet a guy like that. With a zip lock tied to the alligator, Troy quickly lifted it up and pulled the crocodile into the boat. After inserting the label, Troy quickly began his return journey. Finally, we made it back to dry land, and it also brought it to the buyer Duffy's house. Look at the boat full of crocodiles. Ashley and Anna quickly asked Troy if he wanted to help. And that's for Troy. It's the sound of God. With today's hunt over, the average ranking of hunters has changed again. Now Troy is #1 again. Well, that's all for this program. Give it a thumbs up, and let's look forward to the next episode.